Yo, what's good, E7 fam? Pat here, back with another video to talk about the major Awaken update for Epic 7. If you were looking for my thoughts on Jacko, I will have those later on today, and I will eventually link them down in this video's description. For this one, I just want to focus on the Awaken update. This is essentially Smogate and Super Creative's roadmap for where we're going for the next 4 to 5 months as a response to people's dissatisfaction with the current state of the game. There's a lot to talk about here, so I will just try to move at a brisk pace. I will try to keep the video length down as long as I possibly can. It's still going to go long like most of my videos because I like to ramble, and on top of that, there is again just a lot to cover. So just sit back, relax, and listen to the sound of my voice as I give you my 2 cents on everything that is actually in these notes. So the first thing that they're going to do is overhaul Epic 7's esports events and their presence. They are basically increasing the prize pool to $100,000 USD, which maybe might bring some more people into the game. And they are using VSPN Korea as their esports event provider. Not familiar with them. I'm sure they're probably a great organization. If you know more, you can obviously fill me down in the comments below. So that is very, very good. They're getting more serious about it, and I think that can only be a good thing for the game. Increased presentation, increased prize pool just puts more eyes on the game. And then in general, just esports builds this greater sense of community and a storied history within the game. Obviously, if we take, for example, last year, Brother Stone won the World Championship for Epic 7. Will he return to the world stage for the esports this season, the championship? Will he be the two-time champion? Who will defeat him? Who's going to be the next one? Will X, Y, or Z favorite content creator be in this World Arena Championship as well? And you can see and follow their stories. Those things generate excitement and talking points. Like you have like rivalries, like you might have like your elf mages and your lights, like those people squaring off. That generates conversation, like which one's the better player. So again, competition I feel like only enhances the game. It just makes it have a greater sense of community and visibility. So I'm all for all of their efforts, especially when we talk about broadcasting. As somebody who has shoutcasted for trading card games in the past, I really, really like a lot of the changes that they're making here. So they are having infographics on the screen for things like pick rates, ban rates, things like that. Audience participation in the form of win prediction percentages. That's all amazing. They have obviously going to have here with this match rundown, the second mock-up, they're going to show team compositions with various different skill levels, Mulligore levels of all of the skills, the skill cooldowns and things like that, as well as the current state of Battle Frenzy. This is amazing, I think, for the shoutcasters because it gives information not only to you but the shoutcasters as far as commentary goes. One of the things that was always a struggle is making sure that you have the specific names of cards or abilities, the specific skill levels, the percentages of representations of things in the field. Those all enhance and add to the overall presentation of the game, and it makes things more immersive, more engaging with the audience. It just makes it an overall better product, in my opinion. So I'm very, very happy with all of these changes that they are proposing. Things like contribution, win rates, MVPs, total match time, how long the frenzy was, how much of an effect this had on it. So yeah, all of this super, super awesome. Finally, they're going to have this World Arena creator competition. Sometime it's going to be held simultaneously with the E7 World Championship 2022. Don't think I'm big enough to get invited to something like this. I would love to at one point be a part of something with the official E7 guys at some point. So yeah, I'm very excited to watch this because I have my own favorite set of content creators that I engage with and talk to and watch all the time. So yeah, this is exciting because usually the people who are behind the scenes making your favorite content are not necessarily like the best players in the world. So giving them a chance to shine in like a fun setting is always really, really good. Next up, we have some UI adjustments for the events, so that makes it a little bit easier to find things. I'm always good with cleaning up clutter and simplifying the UI. Epic 7 does have some menus that are a little bit difficult to navigate. Sometimes they're just a little bit more clicks than I would like them to be, or taps on your screen. So I'm all good for that. Next up, we have this Awaken update event in April, the special event, Hunt Focused Heroes event. So you are basically going to get to choose one of these three lovely ladies, Sermia, Sigret, and Vivian, and you will get 36 Malagoras, a max limit broken Daydream Joker, as well as enough to buy some exclusive equipment for them. If you want my opinion, you should take Sigret if you do not have her, as Wyvern is the most farmed hunt in the game and provides the best gear for most players in a lot of scenarios. She's just the best overall for that. If you're looking for how to play or build a Wyvern team, I have a comprehensive guide for that here on this channel, and I highly recommend watching that and taking Sigret if you do not have her. For every other hunt that is not named Katie's, I think you should take Vivian if you do not have her. She is the best farmer for Golem in the game. She is the best farmer for Banshee in the game. She is also the best farmer for Azumanic in the game. She is basically your best choice in most scenarios. After that, we have Sermia. Even though they have Sermia here advertised as a character for Golem, her best uses are in things like Hall of Trials, Abyss, and Expedition. So if you already have these first two, then I would take Sermia. But for everyone else, you should be taking either Sigret or Vivian if you do not have them, because they'll make your life a lot easier in the long run. So definitely take those. On top of that, we are getting this Challenge Mulagora event, which will give you another 66 Malagoras, as well as some other things like the ability, a potion to 6-star a character immediately, some penguins and wolves, phantasmas to help you out with that. So yeah, that's really, really good. In total, you're getting, I believe it is 102 Malagoras from both of these events, which that roughly translates to 3 plus 15 5-star heroes. So yeah, that's a lot. And I'm very much all for that, because Molagoras, even though they are more plentiful now than they have been at any point in time in the game, they're still a massive gate that stops you from being able to play the heroes that you want to play. You can't really use characters at the effective level that you want to without Molagoras. So I really like this, the fact that they're giving us essentially between 3 to 5 heroes worth of Molagoras for free. I'm all for that. They're going to obviously overhaul the web banner event that they're talking about. I think the web banners are in a much better place now since they overhauled them last October. And any other further enhancements that they want to do that, I'm fine with it. The rewards are very, very great. And a lot of the ideas are very cute and fun, so I'm all for that. So now they're talking about collaborations and partnerships. The collaborations are basically saying that they will have another collab this year, and it will be whenever the IP holder decides to have it. So cool. We have another collab coming up at some point. I'm all for it. I think all of the collabs that they've had so far are pretty much spectacular. One final note that I do want to add on collaborations, I do think they should bring back Kizuna Ai at some point, because obviously if you have not been following it, Kizuna Ai recently retired as a VTuber, so it's going to be one of those things where getting a collab with her might be very difficult, and going forward, even though Kizuna Ai is not a very played unit in Epic 7, it's going to be one that people are going to want to have. She'll be very sought after because of that she only had that one limited time run thing. But for everyone else, all the other collabs, they've been great, especially Guilty Gear. I really love that IP, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring about in the future. My hope is that it's something like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I would also take like Rising of the Shield Hero, for example, which is going to be airing sometime in the next month or so. For partnerships, they are partnering with Mac, Facebook, Amazon, and Google Play to natively bring Epic 7 to your PC, so you will be able to play the game without an emulator. In the past, emulation has basically been kind of like not as good as native support. It usually is a little bit choppy, has things that don't quite run the same way as it would natively on the device it's intended for. So having native support is really good for those people that are looking for it. It will probably provide a smoother or similar experience to what you've already had on an emulator, and you can just basically go through like the Microsoft Store or your Facebooks or things like that. So this is really, really good. I can see this only as a good thing for accessibility to the game. It brings more eyes to the game. People who don't necessarily want to play the game on their phone, now you have other ways to access it, including Facebook, which is obviously a huge, huge thing for the game. So yeah, this is very, very good. I think that only good things can come from this. So now they were talking about their IP utilization business strategy. First up is the IP commercialization. They're going to be making a web novel. I don't really know exactly what this entails. I don't know if this is like a light novel format where it is like full text with like a couple pictures here or there, or if it's going to be in the style of a webtoon or like a manhwa. If it's that second one, I'm all for it, assuming that it is done very, very well. Again, we'll see how this goes. I think anything that involves the lore or expanding on the world of Orbis or any of that can only be a good thing, because right now, if you remember from my 2021 video review, I felt that like the lore and the writing of this game is good. It's just it could be a lot better when you compare it to Fate Grand Order. It is so far beneath the way that Fate's writing is that I really would like to see it be strengthened, and I'm glad to see that they're putting focus onto world building and writing in general in the game. It will make the game, I think, a lot more enjoyable for players overall. Then we're getting these 4-cut comics, so who they're kind of sometimes referred to as 4-coma or 4-panel comics. These are usually short, like skits in the form of just 4 panels, and they're usually meant to be very humorous or funny or poke fun at the actual game that you're playing. If you've ever seen the 4-comas that they've done for Fate Grand Order, they're really, really funny in some aspects. They kind of portray us as like, you know, junkies, like gotcha addicts, and they're pretty funny if you're in the know and follow the game. So depending on how these are done, they could be very, very good. And so we'll see how they are. They could obviously fall flat and just get scrapped, but you know, by all means, I'm for it. Next up, we have this XR technology that they're talking about. It doesn't really make sense to me, but it just sounds like 3D VTuber, essentially. 3D VTuber Tamarin we're getting, which I guess is fine. But I think that this one might be a bit more challenging than they think it is, because Fate's been trying to get us a VTuber Tamamo no Mae now for like a year and a half. So we'll see how this goes. It could be good. It could also just be a colossal failure. We'll see. So they're also expanding the OST. The second single that we've had for Epic 7, I'll Be Your Energy, I think is fine, but I really think that it's not as good as Promise. Promise like absolutely slaps. If you've never listened to that, you absolutely should. And if you've never listened to more songs by the lady, I believe her name is Rowan Lee, you should absolutely check her out. She has a phenomenal voice. So yeah, I'm all for more songs. We'll just see how it ends up being. So now let's look at the Moonlight Summon Revamp. This is a change so that now after you do 30 Moonlight Summons, you get a guaranteed 4 to 5 star hero on your next summon. It's something, right? Like, it doesn't change the fact that the rates are terrible, but at least now you will go, not have to go like months with no purple flash, so to speak. Or maybe you will, because I don't actually know how many Moonlight Summons you get in a month. It's like, I think 5 or 6 maybe. Point is, it's something. It's not nothing, right? You will also be receiving a ton of 4 and 5 star tickets in your mailbox on the April 14th update relative to all of the Moonlight Summons you've done thus far. It's essentially like you're retroactively getting an extra summon for every 30 summons you've done throughout your career. So this is going to be very reminiscent of the initial recall that they did with Silverblade, Araminta, and Sage Ball and Cezanne, where players are just going to have a ton of extra tickets to dump into, and they might be able to get some of those heroes that they've been looking for. When they said they were going to revamp the Moonlight and Mystic summons to make it easier for you to get the heroes you wanted, I was hoping it would be a little bit better than this. I was hoping it would be like 20 summons, or they would increase the rates somehow. It's something, again, right? It's better than the old system, so we'll take it. Progress is never achieved overnight. It is a slow thing. If this is not enough, I'm sure they will keep ramping it up, so I'm okay with it. Now they're also revamping the Mystic summons here. This, again, falls in the same category. Cool, it's better than the old system, but it's not enough, in my opinion. So now, when we do these rerun banners, there will be 3 Moonlight Hero 5 stars on the banner, and you will choose one of them to pity. So in the example they give you here, you can choose either Maid Chloe, Sage Ball and Cezanne, or Ambitious Tywin. So yeah, those are like going to be 3 at a time, and then it'll go to 1 new character, then 3 at a time, and then 1 new character, supposedly, because right now they're just going to be doing 3 at a time rerun, 3 at a time rerun, 3 at a time rerun, until the end of July, until we get to Forest Sage Vivian, who will be the new Moonlight 5 star at that time. So there's no new ML 5 stars after Flan until the end of July. So if you already have all these characters or none of them interest you, then you can just save for a couple months and basically guarantee yourself a Vivian. So I do like that they give us flexibility. You have more opportunities to get what you want, and you're not stuck in a situation like I was, where I can't get Mediator Queric, and he is a heavily contested played character, and I'm forced to just ban him or play around him all the time. So I do like the change, but I would have liked more than this if they had lowered the amount of Mystic summons needed to acquire the character to, say, like 150. that feels a little bit more realistic. For a lot of players, 200 is a lot. You're only really going to get to pity like maybe 2 heroes or 3 heroes in a year. So you're only really seeing 2 to 3 of these new Moonlight 5 stars to your account basically every year at 200 a pop, unless you're some kind of spender. So yeah, I would have liked it if it was a little bit less, because with the big esports push and trying to push the game to be competitive, it's only really going to be competitive. I feel like for a small subset of players, you really want your whole player base to get in on the action. The only way to do that is to make gear more accessible and to make all the heroes more accessible. I think it was Shotgun Shogun did a really fantastic video talking about why he hates limited units, because when they don't have access to Rimuru Tempest and he is a meta hero, it's really not a good look for your game if you're trying to make it competitive. So putting heroes in the players' hands is always a good thing. I know it goes at odds with their strategy for how they make money, but I think you will have more people be willing to spend $10 to $20 to pick up a hero than spend like the, what is it, $600 that it is right now or so to pick up a hero. If you made the rates lower, then more people will be willing to spend a little bit here or there, I feel like, to order to get to that lower threshold. So I just only see that as a good thing if they did that. But for some reason, we're still stuck at 200 and with this current system. It's fine. It's better than what we had, but it could be better. And I think the game would be better for it with those kind of changes. So let's talk about the Mystic Summon revamps. On April 7th to April 28th, Mediator Koeric will be run as a solo rerun, but after him, you will see Sage Ball and Cezanne with Ambitious Tywin and Briarwitch Aceria. Of those, I think that Sage Ball and Cezanne is worth picking up, as well as Briarwitch Aceria. Those are 2 fringe playable units. Ambitious Tywin I have had now for probably like 4 or 5 months, and I've never really found a reason to use him. He's not a bad unit by any means, but he's definitely not like a meta unit. All these are like kind of worth picking up, right? If we look at the next set from May 19th to June 6th, you'll have Maid Chloe, Martial Artist Cannon, Blood Moon Haste. Maid Chloe is going to be the RTA skin for that. I think Maid Chloe is worth picking up for Guild Wars. The other 2 I would probably pass on, and that's really painful for me to say, because I do think Blood Moon Haste is an insane unit, but with the current units like Conqueror Lilies, like Peyra being played heavily, and a lot of the things that he counters like Maid Chloe and Arbiter not seeing as much play, he's not like a must-have, must-pick-up unit. Still a good unit, just not as insane as he used to be. Like, I'd say like maybe 9 months ago, I would have considered him a top 5 character in the game. So pick your poison. We'll see where he's at in June, how the game is developed by then, whether or not he is worth picking up. But right now, I would probably only pick up Maid Chloe from that. So June 9th to June 30th, we have Last Rider Crow, Top Model Lulika, Dark Corvus. I would only really pick up Last Rider Crow from that unless they decide to enhance or change Dark Corvus, or the frenzy changes that we're going to eventually have to talk about benefit him. And then from June 30th to July 21st is Operator Sigret, Archdemon Shadow, and Designer Lilibet, which feels kind of like cheating because all 3 of these characters are absolutely worth picking up and amazing, and they are all right before July 21st release date of Forest Sage Vivian. So I wish they had spread it out a bit more, because some of these banners are a lot of like maybe pickups, and there are some of these banners that are just like none of these are really pickups. And then of course the last one is all must-haves before a must-have unit. So I think that was done on purpose, but who knows. Then we're going to have the custom group summons, which I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about. This is the one that they talked about before, where you're going to choose 3 heroes, including limiteds, and you'll get their artifacts plus them in a pool, and you get to choose them. It's kind of like a pick your own auto insurance policy kind of thing. So yeah, I will do a whole video on this, so I'm not going to waste too much more time talking about that. And that will be on, I believe, they specify here. Yeah, it will be on April 21st. So in April, I will do a complete video on this for those, because I know a lot of people on my Discord have been asking me about that. So custom Mystic Summons is very much the same thing, but for Moonlight 4-star and 5-star heroes. Yeah, this one's also from April 28th to July 21st. I don't know how to feel about this one, because they don't really specify how much it takes to pity the character. I'm assuming it's still the full 200. That's rough, buddy. Like, this is like a whale banner, it feels like. I just don't know how many people are going to actually take advantage of this. Maybe if one of the current Moonlight rotations is not super great for a player, and they just have a ton of them. Like maybe in like say June or something, I have an abundance of Mystics, and I might just be like, all right, I'm gonna put a banner together with like Mediator, Cleric, Operator, Sigret, and Angel, Light, Angelica, and just roll it and see what I get, because I have enough for a pity. Then sure, maybe that'll work. We have to see, but for right now, this just screams only for whales or high spenders. So, all right, let's move on to changes to World Arena. So now we get two pre-bans in what is it, Champion and Up, which can only be a good thing because it helps alleviate a lot of problematic compositions. They even show you in the example they banned Para and Mediator Queric. That's probably what my two bans are going to end up being for the most part. So yeah, it's going to get rid of hopefully a lot of the problematic, picks, a lot of the openers and things like that, and hopefully make it a more diverse meta. So I can only see this as a good thing. I don't know when we'll get 3. At some point, we're going to have to get 3 pre-bans as the game's roster continues to grow. But for right now, 2 is definitely fine, and I'm looking forward to it. Then they're doing this thing called the Battle Frenzy Revamp, and it's made to pacify meta-dominant heroes or biased units, as they refer to them, right? And they're going to do a test run for this on March 17th and see how it goes. And if apparently it doesn't go well, they will revise it until they get it right. But for right now, the next season is slated to start on March 31st. Unless, of course, these frenzy changes just don't change anything. The problem here is that they don't really specify what the Battle Frenzy effect changes are at all, right? It's to, quote-unquote, pacify domination of biased units is how they phrase it. That tells me nothing because Apocalypse Ravi and Conquerorless and Rimuru Tempest are all units that see a ton of play, but they basically are the meta, right? But none of those 3 units are even remotely the same. Like, Ravi is bulky and can use a lot of attack, so to speak. Rimuru can be built either as like a mid-speed like glass cannon character or like a slower bruiser type. So he has completely different things that he is looking for than Ravi. And then Conquerorless is very fast, requires some effectiveness and things like that. None of those characters operate on the same axis at all. So how does one frenzy effect change the entire dynamic of the thing? Unless you're just going to say the top 5 like most played units just have like a penalty on them at the start, and it just keeps getting worse to force you to not play them until they're not as played. I really don't know how they're going to do this. It doesn't really specify, like I said. We will see how it goes. They're also introducing the 2 new game modes that they talked about in a previous patch, which is the E7 World Championship mode in May, which lets you do play with the same rule set that they would have at the Epic 7 World Championship. And they're also doing a 3-team versus 3-team mode where you play 3 teams of 3 characters versus 3 of someone else's characters. It's meant to be essentially more competitive than Arena, but more casual than World Arena, so to speak. It's somewhere supposed to be in the middle. So now we're going to move on to the equipment revamp changes. So they have done an epic equipment crafting mileage thing where essentially after you craft so many pieces of gear as like a extra bonus or like a pity, you're going to be able to choose a set and a piece and get a random epic, which is those red items of that caliber. I'm all for it. It definitely cuts down on the RNG, but there's still going to be a lot of RNG because there's going to be a lot of times where you are going to essentially craft a like say a ring, and it's just going to be like a flat health or flat attack ring or flat defense ring, and you're just going to have to throw it away. So yeah. Then we have equipment enhancing quality of life revamp. This one doesn't really matter to me too much. It will show the values of the different stats when you enhance them. Gives you more in ingredient slots, so you can kind of just mass dump charms. You don't have to do like 5 at a time. You can do 10 at a time now. And you can choose the enhancement threshold and automatically add the ingredients. So you could say like, I want to roll until it's plus 12 and stop, which I don't think really helps, because if you're like me, you're usually rolling 3 levels at a time, checking the stat gains, seeing if it's a high roll, if it rolled in the things you want, and then deciding to proceed from there. I feel like automating it is just going to make people waste a lot more resources. It's cool that it's there, but I don't I don't expect it to be like the greatest change here, right? This one I'm very excited though to talk about, which is the equipment management revamp. And so this is going to be an auto equip function where you specify kind of the stat importance for the characters. Like on, it looks like a scale of 1 to 4, where 1 is not important, 4 is very important. So you can say like, I want this character to be on his speed set with a crit offset, right? And then I want a 4 out of 4 on my attack and a 4 out of 4 on my speed, but I only really want like, you know, a 2 in HP and a 2 in defense. And it'll try to, based on your recommendations, fill in the characters for you. This could be, if it's implemented very well, really, really awesome. It'll be kind of like a pseudo Fribbles. Fribbles being a piece of software that allows you to optimize characters, kind of lets you see all the permutations of gear that you can possibly have amongst your box and kind of pick and choose from there. If this is implemented very well, I will start to put these recommended, you know, stat lineups in my how to play videos. I will give you a screenshot that'll let you know that you can kind of prioritize your stat importance like so, and then you can just kind of pick and go. It'll make things a lot easier for those of you who don't want to digest my entire like 20+ minute breakdowns of every character. So I'm very excited to see where this goes, how it's optimized, things like that. This could be very huge for the game and lowers the threshold to get into the game. It makes it more accessible for more players, because a lot of my friends who are very casual ask me all the time on Facebook, like, how do I craft gear? How do I do this? And it's all very daunting for them. So having a feature like this will allow more people to jump into the action really quickly. So I'm really, really happy about that. So then they have these changes, these adventure revamps. They're going to be basically making episode 3 easier. They're making it so that they're not just damage sponges. It's a little bit easier to clear, reduces the time to clear it. So I'm all for that. And then they're decreasing the difficulty in Aiden's missions, which is probably just the boots from Chapter 4, because boots have just taken forever. It took me 2 days of nonstop farming just to get 30 boots to specialty change Aiden. So yeah, I'm all for that as well. They're apparently changing urgent missions as well on April 28th. I can't really tell you too much what the differences are here. It looks like you're just going to get more rewards for urgents, and it says there you can enter urgent missions without leaving the current map, which I assume means like if you're farming like I guess like say like episode 1 world difficulty like chapter 2, you will get an urgent mission that is still in the chapter 2 map, so you don't have to like waste time loading the animation to go to the other map and then jump back to the original map that you were on. That's what it looks like it's going to end up being. Epilogue adventure points integration. That's basically saying, so like no matter what you are farming, right, you can use those points to go anywhere. The example they give here: anything you farm in Chapter 10, East Terranor World of Unrecorded History, can be used to purchase the Epic Catalyst Fighter Medal in Chapter 1 Azera. So that's really nice, because there are a lot of times where, for example, I believe it is actually in Chapter 2, Rheingard, there is a great spot for farming. I believe it's Nightmare Masks. It's one of the best in the game, but you are building AP towards Rheingard student IDs. So being able to farm the Nightmare Masks on the good level with the Catalyst and then use those points to actually go and buy the Nightmare Masks somewhere else is a really welcome change. Again, I'm all for letting people gear up and use the heroes they want to use faster. That has been the primary focus of my channel, so anytime we can do that, I am all for it. Now they're doing this story diversification thing as well, where they're going to basically say we're bringing back Sageball and Cezanne's Moonlight Theater and kind of give you backstories on other characters. They will also be apparently remaking Rheingard's story in the main story, so they're kind of like retconning parts of the story to make things line up or be better or more fleshed out. Yeah, sure, I'm all for it. Again, build out the world, build out the lore, make me care more about your game and your characters. For the content revamp and expansion here, they're changing Forest of Souls so that now you can kind of do more penguins and more phantasmas at the same time, as well as you will now generate passively 1 extra Molagora a week. So that's obviously very, very good. We're all for that. Grace of Unity, which is planned for apparently the 3rd quarter, is a system that apparently allows heirs to instantly raise a hero of their liking to the level of an existing hero. The way that I understand this is essentially like you have a plus 15 Arbiter Vildred. You pull insert new character here. You want to try out new character. You essentially assign them to Arbiter Vildred as like under his tutelage, and you will instantly get the character to 6-star Awoken plus 15, because that's what Arbiter Vildred has. And therefore you can test out the new hero and see, are they worth gearing? Are they worth putting your Mullagoras into? All right, cool, they are. Then you take them out of the Grace of Unity system, you build them up, and obviously you replace them with somebody else that you want to try out. So this is supposed to lessen the burden for people in order to try out new characters and see if they actually want to play a character in PvP or a specific form of PvE, perhaps. I think it's a little bit convoluted how they did it. I think it should just be a system where you have one unit that you just always have at 6 stars, fully awoken plus 15, as long as you have at least one plus 15 6-star fully awoken hero. Like, just make that the requirements. Don't make me have to assign it to a character. But overall, the end result is only good for the game, because it will allow you to see if certain 4 stars that you might never have gotten to play, or certain 5 stars you've never gotten to play, are actually worth the time and investment. Because right now, Mullagora are premium, and you will only invest in the ones that are proven to be very good, because you don't have a lot of them. You probably only have like enough to make 1 or 2 characters at any given time. So why would you put them into, like me, a character like Cirilla, for example? Why would you do that? It just be basically purely for fun, and it really does squander a lot of the exploration in the game, because people really just don't want to invest or bring characters to top level when they only have so many resources. So yeah, that's really good. Next up is probably one of the most groan-inducing things that they added in this patch, which is the pet generation expansion. So now, instead of having level 4 pets, we will have level 5 pets, which I'm not looking forward to making those, like, at all. And from the infographic, it looks like you still only have 3 skills, which would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that they are now introducing a new pet skill. You have a percentage chance to receive reforaging materials for hunt. So right now, the pets for hunt are going to be like, you get extra equipment charms to build your stuff faster. You're going to get extra drops from your pet to have a chance to see more gear. And you're going to get extra crafting materials, which you're going to need, again, to try and see more gear. Obviously, I might want the reforging materials one as well, but I have to lose one of those 3, and all 3 of those are very good for hunt. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to choosing that one. That's going to be one of those ones where you have to see what the percentage chance is of receiving the reforging materials and how much do I get, right? If it's like only going to be like 2 or 3 every time that it procs, probably not worth it. If it's like 50, then obviously, like, yeah, I need to make room for that. And then it's a question of which gets cut. Is it the charms? Is it the extra gear drop? Or is it the extra materials? So yeah, I don't think anyone was asking for this, and I actually kind of hate it, because it just means a lot more work for players in order to have their pets be doing their job. Also, it will increase the amount of auto battles that you do to 30. Sure, whatever. I feel like it might only really be worth it for the hunt pet, but we'll see. Maybe the percentages increase. Like, if like your lobby pet, if 5th generation is a lot better, then obviously you're gonna have to make that as well. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. This is gonna make things very, very difficult. Like, I already hated raising pets. They take a while, or at least not. If they don't take a while, they take a lot of gold. So yeah, I don't think anyone was asking for it, but here we are. Hall of Trials revamp. They're apparently changing it so that the currency, where is it, is going to be more plentiful. It's only let's see, newer areas are gathering. Yeah, with the upcoming adjustments to Hall of Trials, we aim to improve Wisdom Gaze gathering factor. Okay, yeah, for early to mid game gamers. So yeah, they are basically making it easier for you to get the things that you want. They're adding a new Hall of Trials boss, Incomplete Faustus, who is obviously the last boss of episode 2. And then, yeah, they're looking to do this other thing where they are adding a filter system where you can specify, like, I need a mage that can provide me with an attack down and also has like burns, for example. So you can kind of target and figure out which characters you are looking for in order to build the Hall of Trials team that you need. You can, because constantly, like right now, you'll be like, all right, I have Kitty Clarissa, Sinful Angelica, maybe a Sermia. What do I need is the 4th character. Well, I need a mage that does this or whatever, and you'll have to like look it up on Google or whatever have you. This is a good change, I think, and apparently it'll be able to be used for other game modes, so you can look to find the specific hero that you're looking for. You don't have to kind of remember every single thing that every character does, right? So that is obviously going to be a very good change. They're also doing a group ranking thing where essentially based on your historical performance of it, you'll be matched up versus similar players and you'll get better rewards if you do better than those of similar ranks. It's kind of like the grouping system for like the LP system that they used to use for League of Legends. Yeah, it's probably a cool change. We'll just wait and see how it goes. Then they have the Abyss Challenge mode, which is going to be absolutely miserable. Essentially, you're going to have to reclimb from floor 1 to 120 again with a certain set of restrictions, kind of like adventure mode. So you know how adventure mode will be like initial clear for 1 star, and then it'll be like, well, if you use an Earth hero, then it's 2 stars, and then a Soul Weaver will be like 3 stars. So if you do a clear with an Earth character and a Soul Weaver, you'll get 3 stars on it, and you'll get unique rewards for that. So that's essentially how this is going to work. You'll start on floor 1 and go all the way to 120, and it takes up all 3 of your Abyss tokens, so it's going to take forever to actually do. But yeah, looks like I'm reclimbing the Abyss. I guess I will have to start doing a series of videos on this as well, because a lot of people have told me that my Abyss guides are very good and very detailed with the commentary. So when I eventually start making my trek through the challenge mode, I'm sure I will upload my clears and commentary on that. So if you're looking for really challenging content in PvE, here we go. And then finally we have this episode related content. They're essentially adding, what does this say? Labyrinth of Episode 2 in Cydonia. Yeah. The Cydonia Labyrinth will not be a labyrinth in the format of a raid, but instead a one-time exploration-based labyrinth that will be unlocked after clearing Episode 2. And it basically has a story that follows the Cydonian Alliance's ruin explorations after the fall of Straze and is slated for the second half of the year. And then we have an Eastern trading ship, which is apparently takes place in Episode 4. You will essentially use heroes and pets to use trade ships to get a lot of specific rewards. I'm sure we'll get more details for that as time goes on. We have these really cool rewards that you're going to get as a celebration. You're going to basically get the 4 to 5 star connections for the earth, fire, and water, and then of course a potion of ascension to make your character into a 6 star. Last thing to talk about before we wrap up the video is obviously going to be my opinions on the 3 new exclusive equipments. We have the Guide of Holy Brilliance, which is going to be Elena's EE, gives 16 ER, which is exactly what we want on the character. So we have the change to the S1, Guardian's Authority, makes it so that she gets more combat readiness. It gets an extra 5%. That's obviously going to be very good. And then we've made on the second one, the S3 removes 1 debuff from all allies when you use it. This is also very good. So I think the first or the second one, depending on your playstyle and what characters you're usually bringing Elena with, these are both really, really good options. And then the last one, Eternally Shining Comet, has its skill cooldown decreased by 1. Meh. It feels like a throw-in. One of those first 2 is great. It depends entirely on you. If you bring Elena into a lot of characters that use unbuffable, the second one's pretty good. Otherwise, I'd probably stick with the first one. Ray also got an EE. He has 16% ER, which is fine. That's exactly what he's trying to do. It doesn't change the fact that he's kind of invalidated by Mediator Cleric, but that's an ML5 star and another point. So the first one makes it so that his S1 Extreme Remedies, if everyone on his team is an Earth hero, it will decrease the cooldown of Invigorate, which is his S3, by 1 turn. I hate this. I don't personally play Ray, but a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, does. And the way that Ray, as a play pattern right now goes, is he goes Invigorate into Light of Rebirth, into Extreme Remedies, and then Invigorate. So his play pattern would have been S3, S2, S1, S3, S2, S1, like many other heroes in this game. But because they put this if all allies are Earth Elemental heroes on it, it's still a play pattern of S3, S2, S1, S1. And this doesn't make any sense because this completely contradicts the developer notes from a previous balance patch where they said they recognized that an all fire team for Zealot, Carmen, and Rose wasn't working. So this is a really baffling change. It's almost there, right? But it's not. They really think they should reconsider this and change that. The S2 one, Light of Rebirth, the amount recovered is increased by 15%. Meh. The best one for sure is the S3 one, Invigorate. It gives Ray a 2-turn defense buff. He's already very tanky to begin with. He doesn't have a lot of health, but he does have very, very good defense, and this reinforces that, gives him more effective HP. Lastly, we have one for Watcher Shuri. he gets plus 10 speed, which is really bad if you're using him as a farmer. So I probably would not pick this one up unless you are using him as a PvP character. This is purely for those cleave bros that, you know, use him as a pick and a speed imprint. So good on you for that. His first EE makes it so that his S2 quickfire decreases the combat readiness of all enemies by 20%. His second one, which I think is probably the best one, makes it so that when he uses his S3, he gains a skill nullifier. And then the last one decreases the skill cooldown of finishing shot by 1 turn. I don't think that the third one's really that good because you've already won the fight by the time you've used finishing shot. You probably will not get back around to using a second one if you're at least doing things correctly. That second one and the fact that it gives speed feels like it's a nightmare because usually the Cleave Watcher Shuris are built in such a way that a pushback or a CR push is enough to make them cut in front of anybody else on the enemy team so that they can get off their finishing shot with things like Sachet Thanes and all that, right? So him getting the 10 extra speed means that I might not be able to win certain games based on speed RNG anymore. And then the skill nullifier makes him just really difficult to get off the board because usually you're just trying to one-shot him by either going ahead of him or cutting in between him. So now if he actually gets a turn off, like he's going to be there for a little bit longer in the matches that it actually matters. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Again, Elena either S1 or S2, Ray is S3, and then Watcher Shuri is the first S2 one in my opinion. All right, super long video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know it's really, really long. As always, enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of your week. Check out the Jacko impressions video that I'll be putting up later today as well. Have a good one now. Later.